IGCSE Physics, Paper Code 0625, Paper 2, Variant 1, May June 19. Today we are going to solve question number 11 to question number 20. Question number 11. A machine is very efficient. What does this mean? Option A. It produces a large amount of power. Option B. It uses very little energy. Option C. It wastes very little energy. Option D. It works very quickly. Here our correct option is option C. It wastes very little energy. Because efficiency is given as output over input. Now output is equal to input minus loss. So if there is less energy loss means there will be more output, and when there will be more output there will be more efficiency. So here correct option C, it wastes very little energy. Question number 12. A crane takes 2 minutes to lift a load to the top of a building. The change in gravitational potential energy of the load is 360 kJ. What is the useful power output of the crane? Power is given as work done over time. Now here it is given the change in gravitational potential energy. So here we can say the work done against gravitational field is 360 kilojoules. So amount of work done is 360 kilojoules divided by time. Time is given here 2 minutes. We will convert this 2 minutes to second. To convert in second we have to multiply this 2 by 60. So here time in second is 2 multiplied by 60. It will be 120 seconds. Now by solving this one, we will get the answer 3 kilowatts. Here we didn't convert this 360 kilojoule to joules because here we have to find out the answer in kilowatts. That's why we have not converted this kilojoules to joules. Since here the work done is taken in kilojoules, the energy is taken in kilojoules, so the answer we will get in kilowatts. So here our answer is 3 kilowatt. 3 kilowatts is given in option A. So correct option A. Question number 13. The diagram shows a stone suspended on a string under the surface of a liquid. The stone experiences a pressure caused by the liquid. What would increase the pressure on the stone? Option A. Decreasing the surface area of the stone. Option B. Increasing the mass of the stone. Option C. Lowering the stone deeper into the liquid. Option D. Using a liquid into a lower density. Pressure exerted by a liquid is given as P is equal to rho GH, where rho for density of the liquid, G for gravitational field strength, and H is the distance, H is the height from the surface of the liquid to the point where we have to find out the pressure. Means here deeper from the surface of the liquid, more will be the pressure. More density, more will be the pressure. Now in the option A it is given decreasing the surface area. There is no relation with the surface area to the pressure, so here option A is incorrect. Option B, increasing the mass of the stone. Here we are looking that pressure is not related to mass, so option B is also incorrect. Option C, lowering the stone deeper into the liquid. Yes, it is the correct option. When we lower the stone deeper into the liquid, by lowering the stone deeper into the liquid, means here the value of H is increasing, and with the increase in the value of H, the pressure will be increased. What is given in the option D? Using a liquid with a lower density. With the increase in density, pressure increases. So here with the decrease in density, pressure will not increase, pressure will decrease. So here correct option C. Question number 14. A stationary smoke particle is hit by a fast-moving nitrogen molecule. Which row describes the motion of the smoke particle and of the nitrogen molecule after the collision? Here we have a smoke particle that is stationary and with this stationary smoke particle, a fast-moving nitrogen molecule strikes. Mass of nitrogen molecule is much less as compared to mass of stationary smoke particle. Now when the nitrogen molecule will strike with the stationary smoke particle, this stationary smoke particle will start to move, and this nitrogen molecule that is much lighter as compared to stationary smoke particle will rebound. So here the nitrogen molecule will rebound and the smoke particle will start moving. So here our correct option will be option A, where for the smoke particle it is given moves and for the nitrogen particle it is given rebounds. Question number 15. A night storage heater contains a large block of material that is heated electrically during the night. During the day, the block cools down, releasing thermal energy into the room. Which thermal capacity and which nighttime temperature increase will cause the most energy to be absorbed by the block? Now amount of heat is given as Q is equal to mc delta T, where m for mass, c for thermal capacity and delta T for change in temperature. So here if we have to increase the amount of energy, if we have to increase the amount of heat, we should increase the thermal capacity and we should increase the change in temperature. Now we check the options. In the column of thermal capacity of block, in option A and B it is given large, in C and D it is given small. It is already discussed that to get the more amount of energy, to get more amount of heat, the thermal capacity should be more. It should be large. So here our possible option will be option A and B. Now what about the temperature increase? Here it is also discussed that with the increase in temperature, the amount of heat will be more. So here if we have large temperature change, then we will have large amount of energy. So temperature increase is a large given in option A. So correct option option A. With the large thermal capacity of the block and with the large change in temperature, we will get more amount of heat. We will get more amount of energy. So correct option option A. Question number 16. 100 gram of water at 25 degrees centigrade is poured into an insulating cup. 50 gram of ice at 0 degrees centigrade is added to the water. The water is stirred until the temperature of the water has fallen to 0 degrees centigrade. 18 gram of ice remains unmelted. The specific heat capacity of water is 4.2 joule per gram degree centigrade. Which value does this experiment give for the specific latent heat of fusion of ice? Here we have 100 grams of water at 25 degrees centigrade. This water we have poured in an insulating cup. In that insulating cup we have ice at the temperature of 0 degrees centigrade. The mass of ice is 50 grams. Out of this 50 grams, 18 grams of ice is unmelted. Means here 50 minus 18, 32 grams of ice has absorbed the heat from water and it is melted. Now here we have to find out the latent heat fusion of ice. To find out the latent heat of fusion of ice, we have to use the formula heat lost by water is equal to heat gained by ice. Now heat lost by water will be given as mc delta T, where m for mass of water, C is for specific heat capacity of water and delta T is change in temperature. Whereas heat gained by the ice is given as m into L, where m is for mass of ice and this L is for latent heat of ice. Now here mass of water is given 100 gram. So here mass of water is taken 100 gram. Specific heat of water is 4.2. So it is 4.2 and change in temperature is 25 minus 0. Initial temperature of water is 25 and here the temperature of the ice is 0. So the change in temperature will be 25 minus 0, it will be 25. Now mass of ice that has absorbed the heat from water is 50 minus 18, it is 32 gram. So mass of ice is taken 32 gram. Now here latent heat of fusion of ice we have to find out, means here the value of L we have to find out. So by solving this equation, we will get the value of latent heat of ice, that is equal to 328 joule per gram. This 328 joule per gram is approximately equal to 330 joule per gram, that is given in option B. So correct option is option B. Question number 17. In which does thermal conduction not occur? Option A, a gas. Option B, a liquid. Option C, a solid. Option D, a vacuum. For heat conduction, we have studied three modes. One is conduction, second is convection, third is radiation. For conduction and convection, we need a material medium, but for radiation, a material medium is not required. Heat can be transferred by radiation in vacuum. Here it is asked, in which does thermal conduction not occur? So thermal conduction do not occur in a vacuum, and a vacuum is given in option D. So correct option, option D. Question number 18. The metal surface of a kettle is hot. What happens to the cool air outside the kettle when it comes into the contact with the hot kettle? When the cool air outside the kettle will come in contact with the hot kettle, it will absorb the heat from the kettle and it will expand. And expansion means increase in volume. Now with the increase in volume, what will happen? Density will decrease because density is given as mass over volume. So with the expansion of air outside the kettle, the density of the air outside the kettle will be decreased. And when the density will be decreased, it will move up. It will rise up. Now we check the options. Option A, the density of the air decreases and the air falls. The first part is correct. The density of the air decreases, but the air will not fall, it will rise. So option A is incorrect. Option B, the density of the air decreases and the air, yes, it is correct option. The density of the air will decrease, and because of the decrease in density, it will rise. In C, it is given the density of the air increases. In D, it is also given the density of the air increases. Density do not increase, it decrease with the increase in volume or with the expansion. Question number 19. Some hot water is sealed inside a metal can. The can is in a vacuum in outer space. The hot water slowly cools down. How does the thermal energy escape into space? Here we have kept some hot water inside a metal can. Metal can mean there is a material medium. So first the heat will escape through the material medium, and after this material medium we have only vacuum. When it will transfer through the material medium, there will be conduction, and after conduction the heat will be transferred because of radiation, because after the material can there is vacuum, and in vacuum heat can be transferred only because of radiation. Now we check the options. In option A, it is given by conduction, then convection. Conduction is correct, but the convection is a heat transfer method in liquid, not in solid. Here the metal can is solid, so here this option is incorrect. Option B, by conduction, then radiation. Yes, it is correct. First, the heat will be transferred because of conduction, because here we have a metal can that is a solid substance, and after this metal can the heat will be transferred because of radiation, because here is no more material medium, there is only vacuum. So option B is correct. Option C, by evaporation then convection. No, it cannot be. because here we have vacuum. In vacuum, convection is not possible. So this one is incorrect. And also by evaporation, there is no evaporation because the container is sealed. So this option C is incorrect. Option D, by evaporation, then radiation. Again here evaporation, it is given the water is inside the sealed container, so evaporation is not possible. So here correct option is option B, by conduction, then radiation. Question number 20. When water waves pass through a gap, they diffract. The diagram shows wavefront approaching a narrow gap. In which diagram will the diffraction be least? Here we have to find out of the four options where the diffraction is least. Okay, first we check what is given in the topic of diffraction. In topic of diffraction, it is given that wider gaps produces less diffraction. Wider gap means here this gap. Here in A and B we have narrow gaps. In C and D we have wider gaps. So definitely diffraction will be less in the wider gap. It is given here wider gap produces less diffraction. Now second thing, here we are looking, we have different wavelengths. Here we have wavelength less as compared to B. Then again in C wavelength is less as compared to D. Okay, first thing we have already discussed that wider the gap, lesser will be the diffraction. So possible options are C and D. Now we have to check with respect to the wavelength of the wave. Here it is given longer wavelengths would produce more diffraction. Means here with the increase in wavelength, diffraction increases, and with the decrease in wavelength, diffraction decreases. Now if we check options C and D, we are looking in C, wavelength is less as compared to wavelength in D. So definitely diffraction will be least in option C because of the wider gap and because of lesser wavelength of the wave. So here our correct option is option C. Okay, now we have completed up to question number 20. The remaining part we will solve in the next session. Thank you very much.